Welcome, everybody. Before we dive into the C language, I just want to conclude on System 5. And basically, it's about this document when it comes to the Linux operating system. Windows has its own document, of course. And you'd be surprised, this document should be agnostic to any programming language because it's true for all. It just relates how the Linux operating system, all its programs, all its libraries communicate with each other, and how compilers, basically of any language, have to respect those definitions. That's why this document basically rules your C, C++, and also every other language. But it turns out that this document, surprisingly, heavily relies on, or not heavily, but it refers to C and C++, because in order to express what you mean, you have to talk about data types like integers. And in such cases, they like to refer to C or the C++ language. So let's have a look at the contents. And the thing we talked about so far is function calling. And I just don't want to read all the stuff. This is also interesting here. We talk about this later. This is how a function call is built up. And you also see those registers here, RBP. We've seen this pointer in the last videos. But I want to look up this table here. And from the last video, you might remember that I gave this order of parameters. When you call a function, you have to store the parameters in a certain order in certain registers. And this order and those registers are defined here. So RDI is the first argument, RSI is the second argument, the third is RDX, the fourth is RCX, the fifth is R8, and then R9. So so if you hand over more registers, you have to use the stack. And such things are defined here. Also, return values are stored in RAX, the register RAX. And there's also a trick I think only very few programmers know. You can actually return 2 values at a time in the language C, because they want to support here that you can return up to 128 bits of data, and in that case 2 registers are used. The C language prohibits this. You can only return 1 value, but you can return a struct, and when this struct returns consists of 2 integers, we talk later about structs. Basically, it's a data type which is made up of simple data types. You see that soon. Then you will see in the machine code that it actually uses 2 registers for returning this value. And those 2 registers contain then 2 integer values. Okay, but let's go back. So there are a lot of definitions here. I just talked about the most relevant stuff for us. It also defines the ELF header, so that's Linux file stuff. Sections is interesting. We talk about that later too. And surprisingly, it talks about the C library explicitly here and makes some definitions. But that's not so. Here you see a type def enum. We talk about that later. This is actually C language written in the standard. And that's also the reason a lot of other programming languages like Go or Rust tend to use a command called extern C, so they can obey this ABI here. Okay, no, I had one more topic, and that's C++ and Fortran. They both have chapters of their own, but this one is very short. This is a draft version, So the document they were working here on is now is available, and basically C++ defines a lot of new concepts, and those concepts are not only illusions to make us program better, but they also have an impact in real machine code. And this is what this document talks about, how to relate certain C++ functions to actual machine instructions. Okay, cool. That's just what I want to say today. Stay awesome, and see you next time when we dive deep into C.